Hi everyone. First of all, I hope you had some amazing holidays. In this video, I would like to show you a functionality in HubSpot that I used to use quite a lot in WordPress, and that is shortcodes. Shortcodes can be used to display custom HTML and CSS in a rich text editor. So instead of having to add a new module each time you want to display a new element, you could use a shortcode in your rich text editor to display the same element. So let's take a quick look at how this works. As you can see right here, I have a basic text block module. And in this module, I have some basic content. I have an H tag, I have a paragraph, but I also have a shortcode. And in this shortcode, I'm passing it some attributes like a ref tag, a target, a style, a button style, the icon I want to display, and the content of my button itself. So if we would take a look at the code, you can see that in my text block module, I have a macro that I'm using to render the content that is set in the rich text editor. And in this macro, I'm going to check if our content is containing a shortcode called button. And if so, I'm going to take each attribute from the shortcode itself by using a split functionality and taking the last part of the array and using a split again, and then taking the first part of the array. And that way I can extract the href and the button style and the target and the button content from my shortcode. So now that I have these values, I can simply use a replace filter on my module content, search for the shortcode, and display something else instead. In this case, I'm using a macro to display my button. And my macro of my button is simply outputting an H tag with a class and rendering an icon if it's set. So by using this code, the replace code, combined with a macro, it allows you to replace a part of your HTML content and display a button instead. So this shortcode works for a button, but we can also use shortcodes for different elements. Right now, in a rich text editor, you can quite easily add an image. However, you cannot add a picture. So if you want to display a different image on mobile instead of on desktop, that is quite hard to achieve. But by using a shortcode, that is something we can achieve. So right here, I have a second shortcode called picture, and I'm passing it a source for the desktop. I'm also passing it a source for tablet, and I'm passing it a source for mobile. So if we go back to the code, you can see that I again have an if statement checking if we have a picture shortcode. I'm then extracting the value of desktop, tablet, and mobile, and I'm passing it to a picture macro that is rendering a picture element in my code. And if I would resize my screen a bit, which isn't that easy, you can see that the image is changing depending on the screen size. So this is also a really cool use case for shortcodes. Now, let's say you have a list element and you want to be able to also display some kind of fancy list. You can also use shortcodes for that. So again, I'm checking if my content contains a list shortcode. I'm extracting an attribute called style, and in this case, I'm extracting the content that is between the opening shortcode tag and the closing shortcode tag. So if we take a look at my shortcode, you can see that I have an opening shortcode tag with a style attribute, and then I have a closing shortcode tag. So I'm extracting the content, and this is a basic HTML UL list, and I'm then wrapping it in a div with a custom class. And I'm also passing it the list style so I can add some additional styling to display a fancy list. So if I were to change this to fancy, you can see that the list style is updated directly. If I change it back to default, you can see that I get my default list styling again. If I would do the same on my button, you can see that the style changes as well. So this is some really cool functionality that you can use to simply display HTML and CSS elements in your rich text editor instead of having to use a new module each time you want to display some custom HTML. If you want to learn more about cool functionalities you can build in HubSpot, make sure to follow me or Bright Digital. Have a great day.